Well, the man with me today, Coach John Wood, very, very busy man, and staying even more busy, which we'll get into. But Coach, how we doing?
Great, man. Absolutely great. Definitely busy, but that's what you want when it comes down to this business. And if you're not busy, then you're not doing it right. So this is careful what you ask for, careful what you wish for, because when you get it, it's full steam ahead right now. I can tell you that.
You're what? You're leaving again tomorrow for Vancouver?
Yeah, I leave tomorrow for Vancouver for Davey Grant, and then we get back, and it's just we have I think we have 11 fighters fighting from Syndicate this weekend all over the world. So
Your guys'
uh,
tapology is crazy.
it's getting there. It's getting there. There's a lot of people we got to change some things and do some stuff. But I'd say we right now currently have about 75 to 80 pros. And that's about where I want to keep it at the moment. And then another 40, 50 amateurs, somewhere like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into Davey in this weekend, but let's go chronologically here. Let's start with
Sure.
a few weeks ago, UFC 320. You guys had a big doubleheader there, Merab and Khalil. Um, we'll start with the highs first, because as you know, the sport is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But Merab himself had a very high night, beating Cory
Yes.
Sandhagen. Pretty much went exactly how you guys said it would go. I mean, Cory was talking about not being strong enough to knock him out. Merab almost got him out of there with the punches. So I guess just how do you feel about this fight overall?
Yeah, I really do feel like it went pretty much as planned. I knew that Merab legitimately was going to try to knock him out, and he has belief in his hands, and he should. He touches a lot of very good fighters, very good strikers in the gym a lot. Like he hangs with the best of them. There's nobody that he doesn't hang with the best of the wrestlers, jiu-jitsu. Like that man he's a champion for a reason. So that was kind of, obviously I said it before that Cory was going to be very difficult to finish.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that's very hard to finish. But if it didn't get finished, it wasn't for lack of trying. I knew that Merab was going to go out there and do his thing. And had we like we're already back to the drawing board, obviously, and worked on. There's some things that we'll work on now. Where when those finishing sequences like that have come about, that they will take advantage of it. That's something that we worked with the submission game of like, hey, when they're doing this or doing that, or when these things come available, let's take advantage of it. So that's the next. That's the next thing is like making sure that when we do have somebody hurt and we do have somebody in that position, that we'll look for the finish and not just get so excited and it just happens that way sometimes. So those are things that we drill a lot in the gym, a lot of scenario type stuff. If somebody's hurt, here's what we need to do. If somebody's, giving their neck or looking at this or doing that, here's the things we need to do. So that's just on me to go back and, like I said, drill that in there with him a little bit more. But the fight went great. He found the path of victory pretty easy. And hats off to Cory for making him work. It's the first time that Merab's arms got a little tired, as far as that's where you could see him in the later rounds, his arms kind of filled up from lifting
Yeah.
him. And at one point in time, I had to tell him, I was like, dude, stop lifting him, stop, just start tripping him, drag him down, trip him, trip him, trip him, trip him. It's fine. It's working too. And so, but that's one of those things that, again, we're back to the drawing board. We'll change up a couple little things, and that's, he makes those adjustments in the cage. He listened, and as soon as he went from, lifts to trips, and he just controlled top to bottom. But Cory, Cory's such a game fighter and a well coached fighter, and they came in with a good game plan to stop us from doing what we, exactly what we wanted to do. But Rob still got it done the way he wanted to get it done.
And we know what's next for Merab, which I'll ask you about here in a second. But I guess what do you think should be next for Cory? Is it the obvious O'Malley fight? Let's finally make it.
I mean, I think everybody'd like to see that. I think you got two of the best strikers in the division, two long, lanky guys. Corey's one of the trickier guys, and so is Sean. Sean's got
Yeah.
one of the the heavier hands in the division. That knockout power that's always in the lighter weights. Sometimes it's hard to come by, but that guy's got it. So there's a lot. It's an interesting matchup, and it'd be interesting to see how Cory played that out. Obviously getting Sean to the ground is going to be one of those things that I think most people, especially when they get in there, start to feel his power, are going to look to do. But that's obviously a fan favorite fight and a fight I'd love to watch. Two good guys going, but I think that, I keep hearing that Song Yadong is the guy that's next for
Yep.
O'Malley. That one makes sense too. And then with Cory, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of good fights for Cory. There's a couple rematches out there, and who knows? He probably maybe he might fight Jan again after this one, or who knows?
Right back to training camp with Merab, Petr Yan, take two. Love the fight. We kind of talked about a couple weeks ago, this probably being next. So, how we feel about the rematch?
Oh, I love it. Like I'm very confident in the fact, I told you we're gonna have to be, making the victory lap on some of these
Yeah.
guys, and it is what it is. But these guys are everybody in the top 10. Everybody in the UFC is tough. Everybody in the top 10 is really tough and is one or two fights away from being a champion or having a title fight. So you have to respect everybody. Jan's a guy who's been doing it for a long time at a very high level, and he's very, very good, very skilled. Again, another guy that I'm a fan of. That I'd like to sit down and watch him fight, and not necessarily corner against him. But
Right.
I love the matchup. I think that it's going to be a totally different fight. I think you're going to see a lot more. Just there's going to be a lot more things that Merab's going to bring to the table for this one, and a lot of I think it's going to be a violent, high paced, um, great fight. I think it's going to be a great fight from both of them for a while, and then it's going to be the typical Merab fight where Merab takes over, and I know that for sure on this one he's going to be looking for the finish.
Yeah, I know that first Petr Yan fight was the fight where a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is Merab." Like that was kind of his coming out party.
For
I
sure.
saw I saw you posted a picture today of him back in the gym. Was this, or I don't know if you posted, but it was on your story. Is this his first day back, or has he already been back training?
Nah, he's been back all week. He went to, I think, Aerial Live, flew back, had his ass in the gym bright and early the next morning, and right back at it. So he was landed and went straight to sparring. And so we had his cage rounds booked. He called ahead and said, "Hey, I want these times. I want these people. Let's go." And that's the thing with him is this is typical for him. This isn't, I've been saying for years, this guy doesn't do things the way a lot of champions or a lot of people do things at this level. He does things that are just different.
Mhm.
And, he stays in the gym. That's why it wasn't really a hard decision to say, "Hey, stay active." This guy would fight if it wasn't for the weight cut, he would fight every month, every week if he could.
Yeah,
He really
I
does
believe
it
it.
in the gym. So he's back in the gym always. If he's in town and he's not obligated to do any of these traveling or anything, he's in the gym and he's training just like he would be training for a title fight. So nothing really changes other than some of the more specifics that we do for the fighter. And that's it, man. He's just there every single day, grinding, helping his partners. He's helping his training partners. We always said we got 11 people fighting this weekend. We always have somebody in camp, and it doesn't matter what level. This guy helps the amateurs. He helps the lower level pros. He helps. It's such an awesome culture and vibe that we have at Syndicate. Everybody helps everybody from every level. If you're on that mat in our pro room, everybody's good. Everybody is good enough to basically be in the UFC if they're not already.
Oh yeah.
So they're just in there all working together all the time, and it's just a great environment that really people want to be in. People want to come to train. They love training hard and hanging out and chilling, man. It's a great place.
Last one about Merab here. After this one, do you at all get into his ear and say, "Hey, man, let's take a couple months off"? And I only ask that just because I train some guys and I don't have any Merabs in my gym, but if the guys that I have trained and fought as frequently as Merab, they would not be able to even walk. So that's why I'm asking, like health wise, where does this ever come into play?
It's always obviously the talk after a fight of like, "Hey, you hurt? You banged up? You this? You that?" He had a little bit of a scratch pretty much coming out of that fight, and that was it. So nothing else is banged up. The dude, like, I don't know how he does it. I've seen him get hit. I've seen him get kicked. I've seen him get whatever, and nothing seems to phase him. I've seen him, like I said, I've seen him literally with his leg almost falling off, sick as you could possibly be, and still sparring as hard as he possibly can. So he's just built different. Um, you know, for me, I always make sure that, like I said, we're good. And again, if I didn't see him do what he does every day, the way he does it, then I would be a little bit more concerned. But it really is, it's natural to him. So I need more time off than he does. I'm like, geez, dude, please, come on, man.
He
Like,
owes you a
but
vacation. You said that.
yeah, but honestly, he's already got the rest. He's got next year planned out. He already has when he wants to fight next and the fight after that. And I can tell you this: this man is nuts enough that he is going to, after he sets this record, he's going to try to break his record next year. Like I know it.
So what is it'll be what 4 this year? So next year will be 5. Is that correct?
I mean, I guarantee he can do it.
I'm not doubting he can do it. I'm still just that's nuts, man. Hey,
It really
as a
is.
fan, I'm here for it. Every fan's here for it. So congrats to Merab and you guys. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Another fight that night. The Lows.
Yeah.
Khalil Rountree Jr. And this fight was great. Obviously, he's up on the scorecards going to the third. Jiri Prochazka is going to Jiri Prochazka, and Khalil was just on the wrong end of it. So before I ask about afterwards, I guess like I assume maybe you've seen him since. How is he doing now?
He's doing great. You know, he just flew out to, I think he's in Thailand with his wife right now, and they're taking a little vacation for a while. And he's going to step away and heal up, and then, you know, for a few weeks, and then he'll get back and we'll get back to the drawing board and see what he wants to do. You know, as far as physically, he's fine. Just a couple little, you know, lumps and bruises and things, and some cuts that obviously, you know, some pretty nasty cuts stitched up, but all that stuff heals. And then, you know, we just got to get back and we got to change a couple things. I got to change a couple things of how I, you know, how I handle some stuff in the camps, and, you know, and he does too. And it's just one of those things where, you know, he's still in the top five. And the cool thing about the situation, as shitty as losing is that there's so much more room for Khalil to grow.
Yeah.
There's so much more. I can tell you this, he's not even close to tapped into how good he can be, you know. And that's really the next step, is like tapping into figuring out, and I've already kind of got a game plan and discussed it with him of how we do that, or how I think we do that. And that's the cool thing, is that you're not in these situations when these guys start losing at the higher levels, or after a while and you're just like, shit, you know, like it's just going to be like this, because there's no more evolving, there's no more room to grow, the ceiling has been met. And even with Merab and Khalil, both of them, I don't know like where the ceiling goes, you know, like especially Merab is just like, I just don't know how
Yeah.
far we can go with that guy. It's crazy. But I can tell you this, I think Khalil will be back better, and it's very cliched, but like I know personally how much better he can be, how much better we can be, how much better I can do as a coach to make sure that those things and those situations that you know, that we've had happen in that fight, and now Pereira fight, where we're up and we're, you know, we're in spots where we're in a good spot in the fight, late into the fight, and then have this shit happen, you know. So it's my job to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. And you know, I think we can make those adjustments.
And I saw you touch on this in an interview on Sunday. I can't remember who it was with, so apologies there. But you were talking about just being backstage, man, as a coach. Like, you don't get to say, hey, broadcast, can you guys pause for 10 minutes? I got to go be with my fighter. No, man. It's Khalil gets brutally finished. You got to run back out there. And you said, you know, you said something like, hey, man, like, you know, I love you. I'll see you soon, or something like that.
Yeah,
But after
yeah,
that Merab win, like, how do you go from celebrating to then like, oh, shit, I still got Khalil in the back. I got to go say what's up.
yeah. No, it sucked. It really did suck. It was a very bittersweet moment. It's probably one of like the shittier moments I've had in such a big, you know, like usually when Rob wins, it's all like nothing but just
Right.
cloud nine for the rest of the week. You know, even in that one, I'll be honest, man, I hate losing. I hate it. I hate it for them. I hate it for us. I hate it for the gym. You know, I hate it. I absolutely can't stand it. It's my least favorite thing in the world, especially for knowing what these guys put into it. And then
Yeah.
when you have somebody for so long, I've been with somebody and I legit love these guys, and especially with someone like Khalil I've been with forever, to be in that moment and have to, like I said, leave, really it sucks balls, dude. It just, it's not, you know, like it was such a you know. And like I said, I
Yeah.
apologized to him. I said, dude, I'm sorry, I love you, I gotta go. And then you just gotta switch hats and you go to the next thing. And that's, and you know, good thing for me, I don't really carry, like I've had plenty of nights, I've had 4 or 5 guys on UFC cards before, and I've had, you know, multiple times, and I've had it go good and I've had it go really shitty before, you know. And no matter what, you just gotta, like I said, you throw a different face on it. You go out for the next guy, and you got to prepare for, okay, hey, we're on this. That's over. This is now. But I can tell you, like after the fight, and then coming home Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and losses for me, and just like I tell my guys, like give yourself the time to mourn that loss. Give yourself time to feel it. Give yourself time to go through whatever emotion you have to go through, but put a time period on that. Put a time period on, hey, after this point in time, I'll do whatever I have to do to feel bad for myself, and then the shit's over. And I do the same thing for me. So apparently Monday is, I guess wasn't that happy or wasn't that great, because by Tuesday I came back in, everybody's like, "Oh, you're in a much better mood today," and I was like, "Was I in a bad mood yesterday?" But it sometimes it's just you feel for it, like you feel for these guys. I just you feel like as a coach, sometimes, damn it, there's things I could have done better. You feel as a fighter, damn it, there's things they could have done better. There's things we all could have done better. Why didn't, I push more for this or less for that? And it's just emotions, and that's, if you don't feel a certain way, if you don't love winning and hate losing, you're probably not in the right sport, and winning doesn't define everything. It doesn't, define you as a person or define you as a fighter, so to speak, but it's something that is kind of necessary in the sport to continue, and each win and each loss at that level, it carries a lot of weight.
Well, I'm glad to hear Khalil's doing better now, man, and I can speak for everyone. Can't wait to see him back, and excited to see him start posting stuff from the gym again too, man. We love Khalil Rountree. He's the man, and
Yeah,
always brings it. Always a fun fight, man.
he does. He's a great fighter.
And Jiri with the win. I guess this isn't actually even a Jiri. It's more Pereira based, because you called the Pereira thing. You said, "Hey, man, first time around, you don't know. You were seeing him at a lot of events. You weren't sure. This time, you weren't seeing him at those events. He goes out,
Yep.
does that. So you think he moves up the heavyweight, or you think maybe him and Jiri 3?
I think it depends on what's offered, and I think he's able to kind of call his shots a little bit. He's earned that. So I think it really comes to what's offered, how much time he needs off. You know, Obviously, if he goes to heavyweight, I think there's the one mega fight that everybody, the fight of all fights between him and John Jones is the thing that is being talked about, and obviously that we talked about in that White House card, which is also another massive thing to be part of. So I don't know, like it's obviously you have Yuri, you have Olberg, you have John Jones, and eventually Aspinall if he goes up. I don't. He's got a lot of things on the table that he gets to make that decision. I think that, like I said, Olberg's up next, Yuri. Um, they've had that fight before, so I don't know. Maybe he wants fresh blood and goes and gives Olberg that chance. Um, but with Yuri coming off that big win, it also makes sense too.
Mhm.
Ride that wave of both these guys fighting on the both same night. They're obviously going to be kind of geared back to fight around the same time again. So I do believe that if the John Jones thing doesn't pan out, then I think Yuri probably makes the most sense for the UFC.
I got a couple left for you here, and then I'll get you out of here, coach. But
No worries.
right now, I know attention is going up north to Vancouver. Davey Grant fighting this weekend. How's it feel to be going behind? You get go from right from high stress situations to another one, but this one's behind enemy lines. So how's that feel?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that these people don't like Davy Grant. Everybody loves Davy Grant,
And it's
right?
Canada. No one can be that mean, right?
He's not American. As long as you're not American, I think Canada hates America right now. I see them guys booing the shit out of us at hockey games and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know how they feel about England, but I just know that everybody loves Davy Grant because Davy Grant is an amazing, awesome person and fighter, and he's one of our. I think he's kind of like slowly become our team mascot at Syndicate. He's just he's Davy F and Grant, man. So. Um, I love it. I love, being in the. I much rather prefer the underdog situations a lot, or the play spoiler, because the pressure
Mhm.
really, isn't that bad in those spots. Not that the pressure's bad either way, but I always like going out there when you're, going behind enemy lines, or you're not the favorite, or you're not. I don't even know who the favorite is in that fight, to be honest.
I'll check right
Um,
now for you, but keep talking.
Yeah, and so Davey Grant, I can tell you this: he's going to go out there and do Davey Grant things. And this fight, it's got fight of the night written all over it. I think it's going to be one of the better bangers on the card, and I expect a very very violent fight.
Just because you asked. Charles Jourdain -170, David Grant +140. So pretty close there. You get some
Yeah,
underdog money on your
yeah,
boy Grant. But
yeah.
talk to me about this fight because, like you just said, banger fight of the night. We've seen both these guys throw down many times before. A fan favorite fight right here.
Yeah, I mean, Davey's very well rounded in all positions. His jiu-jitsu great, his grappling's great, everything wrestling. The guy he can fight, but obviously he loves to stand up and throw them things. He's an old school fighter when it comes to that. He wants to get in there and trade. He wants to. I tell you this, pound for pound, Davey Grant's probably one of the hardest punching people I've ever felt.
Wow.
Everything on that man he does, it just hurts. He hits the pads, it hurts. He kicks you with a shin pad in your body. Everything just hurts. Everything, all of his training partners complain about how bony and just hard. He's just a man. He's just like, I feel like he's made out of granite. So everything he does is just brutally tough and hard. And he loves doing it in a fight. He wants to break his feet, break his shin, break his hands on your bones as long as your bones are breaking too. He's just that kind of guy. So, Jourdain is a very slick technical fighter, and he's going to come with the same kind of pressure, and he's got some nasty stuff and some great stand up. So, like I said, I expect a hell of a fight, and I expect at some point in time, you're going to have two dudes just standing there, just swinging on each other, and really, it's going to be a fun one. I can tell you that.
Absolute banger in Vancouver. I can't wait for that one, man. My last question for you, John, because I don't know, maybe I'll talk to you before the fight, but I'm not sure. And I know James Lynch asked you this, but I haven't yet. I'm curious, have you worked with Zhang Weili at all this camp ahead of her fight?
Yeah, she just got here today. I just got
Oh, did
done with
she?
her. Yeah, I just worked with her today. So we'll finish out the rest of the camp here. We started today, so and then fly out and corner her. But yeah, she showed up. There were some things she was supposed to get here a little bit earlier, but there was some stuff and whatever going on that side. So we've done this before. We've had short camps and short things, and no problem. They've got a good game plan, and they've already been working on some stuff, and so we're just here to kind of polish up the stuff. But yeah, literally started today. I didn't know that we were starting today. We had a meeting, a camp meeting, and I was just like, hey, so when do we start? She said, oh, right now. I was okay. So
Put my pads
I
on.
moved some things around, threw my gear on, and we went and got in the cage. So yeah, looking great. She's looking fit, man. She is a monster,
I mean,
monster of a woman.
you said looking fit, but she's moving up to 125. So is she looking
Yeah.
like a fit little freaking muscle hamster or what?
Oh, she's jacked. She's always a muscle hamster. That
True.
that woman is just there's nothing on her that isn't muscle. She's a solid ball of muscle, and I can tell you that everything's translating very well to 125. She's always had that power and explosion. Doesn't look like anything has come slowed down at all. Everything looks great, man. I'm excited to get these next 4 weeks out of it, and see what we can do.
And my last question, just finish it off. What's the prediction? Valentina Shevchenko, Weili Zhang, who takes it and how?
I am going to go with Whaley in a probably a 5 round fight. We're looking at a 5 round fight, a very technical fight, a very, there's going to be some of the prettiest and like the most beautiful, technically violent stuff that you've seen in a women's fight for sure, or any fight. You got two of the most skilled, not only women, but skilled fighters on the planet. Like those are they're the goats. They're the two best. They're the two best that are out there right now, and probably the two best that have ever been. And so, like, this is a super fight that we've all wanted. And as a fan, I love like I love being a part of it. I love being able to, I'd love to just watch it, like I've
Yeah.
said before many times, but to be part of it is something special. And I really do think that Whaley has what it takes to go up and take that title.
Coach John Wood, Mike is yours before I get you out of here. Anything you want to say? Do your thing.
Oh man, just I appreciate all the support, and it always does. Like it's an honor for me to come on any of these shows, come on, talk to any of you guys, anybody that wants to hear something I have to say that still blows me away. But yeah, just support the Syndicate fighters, and just I thank everybody for like I said, a great year, and everybody being so supportive of us.
Hey, one of the best coaches, best gyms, turning out the best fighters around, man. It's my pleasure. Seriously. Coach John Wood, thank you so much. Best of luck this weekend and in the months ahead. And get some sleep when you can, my man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.